Hey everybody, welcome to Escape Reality Star Wars Talk. I'm your host Caleb, and with me is my co-host Seth, and we're here to talk Star Wars.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
Specifically, we're here to talk High Republic Adventures Volume 3, which has yet to get an official, like, print of it, like in like a trade, but like we have the issues, so we were like, let's just talk about them, because it's about time we talked about them. So I guess we're going to jump right into it because I was looking for Star Wars news earlier and I didn't see anything major going on right now. So, yeah, let's jump right into it. So when we last left off with our friends in High Republic Adventures, they were heading over to Takodana to help out with the Jedi Temple there, where they, ran into some Nihil. Because the Nihil said, yeah, we're going to take that. It didn't go well for them. So now we're at, like, the continuation of that story, sort of, where we now have the, Sorry, I got excited. So they... My brain just... Sorry, my brain went crazy. It fried right now because when I sent off the tweet and the Hive post, I tagged DJ Daniel Jose Older DJO, and he just liked the tweet. So sorry, my brain is
spasming out over there. Huh?
Hey, I'm a fan of the work, and therefore, But yeah, so our main cast is now on their way to Takodana to help out, where Sav is already cleaned up for the most part, along with
Sav.
Yeah, Sav is amazing, and you're gonna be so happy. Do you like Sav?
No.
No?
No.
You don't like Sav?
I think they're a fine Jedi.
Oh, in that case, you won't care that they're gonna be the main character in the current run of High Republic Adventures that is about to come out.
I don't hate them, but I'm not like, nah, fuck that old lady.
See, I like Sav a lot. I
don't hate them.
I love Sav.
But I'm like, they're a better character. I'm not gonna finish that.
Hey, it's your opinion. Sorry. It's your opinion. There's nothing wrong with that opinion.
I do like Sav in that they're not an idiot. And that sometimes they're like, listen, okay,
I'm gonna
doing
tell you
it this way isn't going to work.
I'm going to tell you what I need to tell you. Yeah, because, this isn't your first time meeting Sav.
Yeah, I've seen Sav from the perspective of other people.
Yeah, because Edge of Balance.
Yeah, Edge of Balance, and also earlier in the High Republic Adventures.
Yeah, I think Edge of Balance was your introduction to her, though.
Yeah.
No. It was High Republic Adventures, because we did 1 and 2 together.
Yeah.
Because we had Shaylee on, and we talked both High Republic Adventures Volume 1 and 2 in one episode.
Sav is not my favorite character in the High Republic. But I'm also like, I don't want anything bad to happen to this.
My things about Sav and why I love her have to do with her connection to Court and how, like, genuine that connection is. And it's similar. You know what? Let's get into the plot, and we'll come back to this. So Farzala, Zine, Ram, who's now part of the crew at this point, Lula, Ram Jammer Ram, and Court, they all make their way.
Yeah.
And that's when Maz Kanata's like, having, like, memories. Yeah. Court and everybody's kind of remembering back in the old days of when Court was found.
Yeah.
Because Maz was given Court.
Yeah.
Because basically these pirates came up on our doorstep and were like, hey, here's this kid we don't want. Can you take care of it? Because we think it's freaky.
Listen, this kid is
rambunctious to the nth degree.
We don't know what to do with it.
And so Maz is like, no, him, yeah. Maz is like, I'll take him in. I got this. Biggest mistake of Maz's.
Yeah. For the next 3 weeks.
Oh, yeah. So, like, we'll do all the flashbacks now, because I think it's fine to talk about all of it now. So Maz basically takes in Court. This is before Court has the mask, but he does find the mask from her kit, like in her collection of artifacts room. And so, like, because basically Maz leaves Court with her droid to, like, so that way she can go get Court some milk. She's like, I gotta get some milk for him, keep an eye on him, make sure he doesn't do anything stupid.
Yep.
He does something stupid.
He does a bunch of... In fairness, the droid does try.
Instead, he gets his arm ripped off by Court, who is a baby, by the way. Yeah. Like, baby Court is just like, phew. Yeah. and then he swings at the droid with his own arm. Oh, and so,
as it turns out, Court's species is freakishly strong.
Yeah, so we learn more about that actually because when she finds the droid all beat up,
like, damn.
She's like, "What happened?" And he's like, "The kid did this. He's in the basement." And she finds Court in the basement with the iconic mask that he wears on him.
I think the first time I saw Court, I compared him to Cubone.
And it's even more true now that you know the backstory of his race. Because you're like, oh no, they actually do just put on this mask that they grow into.
Yeah.
And then eventually they break out of it when their head gets too big.
Mm-hmm.
Because, so Maz runs into this pirate who basically is like, oh, yeah, no, I totally know the backstory of this. So that's a Von Dune crab skull, and apparently it's from the same planet that your boy Court is from. He's an Aloxian, and it's from the Zavalox sector. And Aloxians, when they're young, have to go out and kill a Von Dune crab and then take the mask, and that's because Aloxians are just a violent species, like, naturally. And they believe that putting the mask on helps balance their aggressive nature. Yeah. And so, hey, whatever works, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, he's like, yeah. And so he finds them and basically, eventually, when they get old enough, their head is too big for the mask, obviously. Mm-hmm. And so when the mask breaks, that's when they believe, oh, I've matured and I don't need it anymore, essentially. Yeah. And that's when they basically come of age, truly.
Like giving a violent kid the equivalent of a teddy bear.
Yeah. And so now let's go back to the present day story, because that's mostly that's Court's story, and now we know. So I want to talk. Actually, I'm going to talk about it. So every few issues have been somebody somebody from the we were talking about it off screen, so I want to talk about it on screen now. Everybody has had their story told within the High Republic adventures. So the first few issues are about Zine. And basically getting to know her.
Yeah,
and her backstory and learning more about her as a character and her arc growing as a person.
Yeah.
I was going to say Jedi, but she's not a Jedi.
She's not a Jedi.
So growing as a person.
Not a Jedi.
Zine, not a Jedi. Marala. Yeah. Lula, I'm not sure if I want to be a Jedi. Talasola.
Yeah.
So we get, which is the next arc, we get Lula's arc, and which I think we get more of Zine and Lula because they are they're the A plot, yeah. And so they're the main characters of this story, which is why after we get through everybody else's arcs, it becomes back to the Zine and Lula show.
So,
but we also get Farzala's plot, which I love Farzala's arc.
Farzala's plot is, fuck, this is a scary line of work I'm in.
Yeah.
I better learn how to deal with that.
Yeah, and then Court's is balance. I think Court is just. I don't really think Court had to really do anything. He just had to balance the connections of his past and his present, and that's really about it.
Yeah.
And I think Court did a fine job with that. Also, Court is very good looking once you get the mask off. Court, on the mask, he's fine, but without that mask, you go, oh damn, Court, you matured. It's when you see, it's the difference between Neville in the early Harry Potter books in the Harry Potter films, and Neville in the later Harry Potter films. You're like,
when did you get so jacked?
Yeah.
I was training for the Triwizard Cup, but I guess that's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Oh well.
And so,
I'm gonna go kill a snake with a sword.
And so, And then, of course, so we get Court's story, and then we'll talk later about Lula and Zine's last part of the arc, because they get the last part of the High of Volume 3. But yeah, so Maz and Sav, who that's the part I forgot, is Maz witnesses Court using the Force, and is like, oh, well, good thing we got a Jedi Temple right across the lake. And so calls Sav, and Sav basically basically takes care of Court during and basically is the one that keeps an eye on him and helps his early training before Yoda comes to bring him to the temple proper.
Yeah. He's like, all right, look, kid.
Yeah, because Sav and Maz are old friends, which is what the new set of High Republic Adventures is going to be about. Is going to be like, because they mention that they fought these pirates and stuff, and that Sav went undercover as a pirate and all that, and that's part of how they met, and that they're both Force sensitives, because Maz is a Force sensitive. She's just not a Jedi. And so, like, I think that's the story we're going to get, because they mentioned it was like 100, like, they were like, oh yeah, it was about 100 or 200 years ago, and it's like, that fits the timeline of where we're at. And Sav is the main character of the new. Okay, I think this is where we're going. So it's actually interesting that I reread that and started to make that connection. I was like,
damn.
So they've been planning this.
No, I was trying to figure out how old Maz is.
Maz is over 1,000.
Yeah. She would have to be.
Yeah. Maz is about the age of Yoda.
Yeah, I was just running the numbers. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's been confirmed that Maz is old.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
This is some, like, us figuring out Pants is actually in his 60s.
And so, but yeah, so Maz and Sav immediately greet their boy, because it's like, we raised you, we're basically your two lesbian moms that raised you. Yeah. That's essentially the energy they give me.
I was like,
that's the energy they give.
The energy I got was like, oh, I'm gonna go visit my grandma's for like a few weeks.
Yeah. And so, obviously everybody's like, oh, that's cool. And then Farzal was like, holy shit, Maz Kanata, the famous pirate queen, you know her?
Yeah.
Yeah, she raised me. Before the Jedi found me.
Yeah.
And then
there's also fucking Sabata Krill and her sister.
Barine, yeah.
Yeah.
Which we know Sabata as the holy fuck you.
Yeah.
It's the traitorous bitch who betrayed Crix.
Yeah. And it's like...
So it's weird seeing them in this state where we're supposed to believe that Sabata's not Nihil.
Yeah. Like, I don't think anyone there really believes that.
Yeah,
but they're like, we'll give you a chance.
Because we're Jedi and that's kind of our thing, is we have to still give you a chance.
Except Baleen is, I think, genuine with it.
Yeah, Barine is genuine.
Is genuine.
Yeah, Barine...
Sabata is not.
Yeah.
I do like that, full context, spoilers ahead.
I mean, these are... In the case of, like, what Sabata's up to, like, we've talked about it because we've already discussed Midnight Horizon.
Yeah.
And
I like that Sabata's plan is, I'm going to set up Crix so that Zine will kill him and make herself look bad in front of the Jedi.
That, or Crix will kill her, forcing the Jedi to kill him.
Yeah.
Either way.
None of these things happen.
Yeah, neither of these happen. Crix doesn't have the guts to kill her.
Yeah.
I mean, he tries to shoot her a couple times, but, like...
Like, what was...
It doesn't work.
Do it again on purpose this time.
We'll get to it. We're about... Yeah. So... So, yeah, they're like... So we're introduced to the Krill sisters, and they're like, yeah, they turn themselves in, they claim they're changing. We've got our eyes on them still, though.
Yeah.
Apparently not close enough, though, considering what's about to happen.
Fucking Sabata. Always stay plotting.
Yeah. And so...
She'd be a great fit in the industrial district.
So, yeah, so
and Coruscant.
preparing for the inevitable of the Nihil returning.
Yeah.
Maz and Sav are like, "Hey, here's this all this
Here's all the guns we took
Yeah.
when we were pirates.
Yeah, here's all the guns we took. Yeah, here it is. This is the This is how I'm connecting it, and how I know that this is the story we're getting for High Republic Adventures Volume 2. I get like actual Volume 2 because it's
Oh shit.
you know what I'm talking about when I say like because there's Volume 2 and then there's Volume 2.
Volume 2 of Volume 2.
Yeah, because like whenever they reset the numbers, it's Volume 2 or Volume 3 depending how.
V2 dash.
So we're V2-1. So we're in V2-1 coming up, and it's actually the first issue's coming out this upcoming week. So, but yeah, so they start talking about it, and yeah, here's the line. Here we go. This is Sav. Here we go. Haven't had to use any of this stuff since I was a Padawan. I think more than a century ago now. And then Maz is like, yes, back when you went undercover to join my pirate crew during the Battle of Jeddah. Where have we heard that before? Where have we heard this Battle of Jeddah thing?
Man, the Battle of Jeddah is going to be both awesome and really, really bad.
Yeah, so like, you're telling me this happens during Phase 2's storyline. So I'm going to assume the Phase 2 High Republic Adventures with that star Sav are going to be about her going undercover as a pirate. Because it makes sense. So I think it was interesting because I was thinking to myself, what story like when they announced that it was going to be Sav before we had to reread this, I was like, what's the story they would tell? And then once I reread this for the show today, I was like, oh, there's my puzzle piece that I was missing. Like it was just the one piece I was missing. I was like, boop. That circle goes in the square hole. I found out what. Yeah. So, yeah, they show off their guns and they're like, look at all these guns that are in our Jedi Temple. And they're like, are we supposed to have all these guns in the Jedi Temple? Look, it's
fine.
It's
Don't worry
fine.
about
it. It's just us living in this Jedi Temple anyway. So who's gonna?
Like 2 people here.
Yeah, and one of them's not a Jedi. What are they gonna do about it? And so. We then see the little probe droid sneaking all the thermal detonators around the Jedi Temple.
Yep.
Meanwhile, back at the air, back at like I guess the air defense unit, whatever you want to call it, the spaceport. They're like, hey, look at all these bleeps and sweeps and the creeps.
Okay.
What do they represent? A lot of ships.
Okay, are they our ships?
No, they're Nihil ships, and we're probably about to be under attack because that's a lot of bleep sweeps and creeps.
We should sound the alarm, right?
Yeah, so
let's go do our job.
So they go to sound the alarm, and just before they do though, Sav catches Sabata sneaking about and uses her helmet to
bang,
which actually, let's talk about the hat, because that's part of the culture of Sav's race. We see it in the Clone Wars with that bounty hunter.
Are they the
They're the one with the wolf.
No. I'm trying to remember the name. Kyuzo? The right one? Or am I thinking of something different?
See, I just had a brain fart now, because now... Imbo. His name is Imbo. But Kyuzo are the race, yeah. So, you had the race.
Yep. I know I've seen that hat.
But Imbo has it. And so, the Kyuzo, that's just part of their species, is that they wear that hat. And Lula, of course, is like, but what about, like, attachments to our previous lives before we became Jedi? Because Lula is dealing with a lot of attachment issues, and she's trying to, like, resolve that.
Yeah.
And so, of course, Sav is like, hey, I've been around. As long as you can separate things, like, as long as you compartmentalize health in a healthy way, you're fine. Which tends to be what a lot of these Jedi during the High Republic era tell people. They're like, it's fine to have these attachments, just realize that you've got to be careful with them.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine to love somebody, just don't let that be the controlling factor in your decisions. Yeah. And, like, so she's like, yeah, I got this hat because, you know, not only is it a part of my culture, but it's also kind of useful.
Yeah. See? Bing.
Bing. And it's the same thing with Court's mask. Is that it's part of his culture, but it shouldn't be viewed as like an attachment because eventually the whole point of their culture is that Court is going to grow out of it. And so, just as the spaceport calls and it's like,
hey guys, we're under attack.
There's some Nihil coming. That's when Sabata's like, oh great, Crix came in just in time. Beep! And everything blows up.
Kaboom!
Kaboom! Actually, it's kathoom on the that. Actually, that's probably how it's probably supposed to sound. Kathoom. The H is a little more. But yeah.
Onomatopoeias are weird.
Yeah, onomatopoeias. So then we get the everybody getting out of the Jedi Temple, and we see that Quartz mask has broken in two. And
didn't really grow out of it.
Yeah.
More like got exploded out of it.
Yeah.
Which is my issue with it a little bit.
I think
I understand it's probably supposed to be metaphorical.
Yeah, I think it's a metaphor of basically the Force is just saying, "Hey, it's time to move on," and so he accepts that it's time to move on, and that's part of his personal growth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it could have been done a little bit better, but that's fine.
And so, Court, of course, is like, all right, let's do this. And he speaks Basic for the first time in the series.
It's weird.
Because he still speaks his language mixed with Basic.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
It was the first time seeing him speak Basic. This man is bringing bilingual to a whole new level.
And so, Court jumps immediately into action.
Like, all right.
He's like, I'm ready. I'm going to take down these Nihil. And take down these Nihil he does.
Yeah.
He literally goes ship to ship just cutting them down. And it's... Oh, boy.
Yeah. It's like... Fucking...
Yeah.
Break my mask today.
And so, the space station is like, hey, we've handled things on our end. Do you need backup? And they're like, no, I think Court alone has got this handled.
They're like, to be honest, I feel kind of bad for the Nihil right now.
Yeah, like Maz and Sav are like making jokes just as they watch this go down. They're just like, remember that time when we did that thing? Oh my god. And
everyone else is kind of like, should we be worried? Nah, don't worry about it. It's fine.
He's got this. And sure enough, he does. Like, he sends them on the run. And so they manage to capture Brina. But not Sabata, obviously, because we already know what happens in Sabata's story. And so everybody immediately accepts their buddy Court without his mask, because High Republic Adventures Gang is the most loving and accepting group ever.
They're like, well, the mask was gonna come off eventually.
Also, Court looks sexy without the mask. Like, sexy Court
Caleb,
time.
that's still a child.
I know. I'm saying, like, for them, that's probably, like... I mean, they gave him the cowl, like, the callous hair, man. Don't give me the callous hair. But no, yeah, obviously, no. But yeah, they accept their little buddy, because Court's their buddy. How old are they? Because now I'm trying to remember the timeline. So they started at 16, right? At the beginning of Volume 1, and it's a year now?
Yeah.
So they're probably all 17-ish?
Yeah.
Like, maybe some are hitting 18, because Zine looks like she's about to be of a, like, completely, like, adult. Same thing with Farzala. Farzala looks like...
Farzala, let's face facts, Farzala is a grown-ass man.
Farzala's, like, about to, like, he's hitting 18.
He's about to go into college, is what Farzala's about to do.
Everybody else, and also Lula. Lula looks pretty old for the group. I think the youngest are Court and Ram.
Yeah.
Crix, and we're about to talk about Crix because we get a Crix scene.
Punk.
Crix is definitely an adult. Like,
he's like,
did you like? there's a bit where we see him in Markion's old mask,
Yeah.
because remember he gives Crix his mask,
Yeah.
and so like Crix in the mask looks like a full on like he'd been working out.
It's like been training for a whole 7 months.
But yeah, no. So he has a mission report with Sabata where he basically is like, Sabata, you fucking failed, and Sabata's like, hey, I'm the one who blew up the Jedi Temple. Your guys were the ones who sucked. And they're like, okay, well, you know what? Let's work together. We're going to work on a special plan together that Markion's been setting up.
Yep.
And so, basically, hinting at mission,
Yeah. The setup for
Midnight Horizon, as well as Fallen Star. And so, we get a little bit of levity.
Yeah, time for a brief and fun break.
So we get 2 issues back to back that are just like, all right, let's take a breather.
Yeah.
First being the Galactic Bake Off Spectacular, which this came out later, but in chronological order, this is what happens next.
Yep.
So we get this fun little episode of basically them baking a special recipe that Yoda's made, because we've heard that Yoda is such a that Yoda bakes. Like that's something that they brought up early on in High Republic Adventures, and then they're like, now they're bringing it back, and they're finally showing us this great bake-off. And part of them baking this recipe is that they have to tell a story. And so Torben Buck and Cantum Sai decide, hey, let's get together, tell the story about this time we had to work together during the great hyperspace disaster.
Yeah.
And so they tell this. I'm going to keep this one a little bit more. So basically, there's this place where they send.
It's a Jedi retirement.
It's a Jedi retirement facility.
It is.
Yeah. And so it's about to be hit.
You know what? I never thought, like, oh, what happens when Jedi get too old to do their job?
Now we know.
You get
to basically retire. You get to chill out, relax, except for when disasters happen.
Yeah.
Then everybody has to save you.
Whoops.
So both Torben and Cantum were on site for this. Cantum is actually on site at the facility trying to get people evacuated to the hangar area, so that way when Torben arrives,
they can just go.
Yeah. So Cantum believes that they brought everybody in. Turns out they are missing one Jedi.
One of the older Jedis, like Susie from Section 3, is missing.
It's
I know their name's not actually Susie.
Yeah. I know it begins with a G. Griswold.
Okay.
I knew it was a G. But this tiny little Jedi. So Cantum goes back to go get them.
Yeah.
And they find Griswold.
And Griswold's having a time of it.
Yeah, so
since the hyperspace disaster just fucking happened.
It's basically Griswold feels everybody's chaos.
Yeah.
Like feels all this death, all this sadness, all this panic, and is feeling everybody else's fear, and therefore it's
she's having they're having an Imri moment is what they're having.
Yeah. So basically,
for better or worse,
instead of going, oh, I'm just feeling everybody else's fear, she is also emanating that fear out. And that's what kind of made everybody miss her on the first glance, because they were like, yeah, we scanned for life forms with the technology and the Force, and we didn't see anybody else.
Yeah.
And so I think that's part of why they missed her the first time. And so Cantum Sai is like, hey, I'll get you back safely. We're going to do this together. And you did nothing wrong. It's okay to be afraid sometimes.
It's fine. Listen, the situation is scary.
And
come on.
Yeah, so eventually they do rescue Griswold, and after going through everything that could go wrong, they're like, let's go through this hallway. Oh no, the ship split. Okay, we got to close that so we don't lose air. All right, now go a different way. And then Cantum Sai tosses Griswold out to Torben, who after everybody's like, oh, we gotta leave, we got a minute before everything goes down. He's like, no, I'm gonna go get my friends.
We're gonna wait.
And so Torben goes outside and starts.
We're gonna wait for 3 or 4 minutes.
Yeah. So Torben goes outside and starts manually using the Force to move debris out of the way.
50 done, only 1,000 more to go.
And eventually they run into each other. Cantum tosses Griswold to Torben. Torben manages to bring Griswold back to his ship, and then eventually
And Cantum
loops back around to get Cantum. Is what
there for like an hour?
Yeah, like they get picked up by Torben.
Yeah.
It's implied they get picked up.
Because we know they don't die.
Yeah. Okay, here's the recipe.
Yeah.
It does call for eggs.
Okay.
It calls for 4 eggs.
4. Okay.
For the custard and caramel.
Yeah. Because this was a discussion. I was like, why is fucking Engel breaking eggs throughout this entire story?
You only need 4, so I don't know why he's like, I'm going to go back to breaking eggs. How many eggs are you breaking?
I guess maybe I wasn't paying attention, and maybe he does it like twice during the story.
Yeah, it's like...
But it's like, why are you...
Like, why do you need so many eggs? I guess they're making a lot of the custard cakes.
Yeah.
So I guess there's that. Because, Claudia Gray, for the audience, I'm going to explain. Claudia Gray gave us the actual recipe for the Sweet Story custard cakes. So there's an official recipe if you ever want to make it. I don't have the ingredients, otherwise I would have had it with us.
Yeah.
I also don't... I guess this counts as our story if we were to have it, but that would mean we'd have to be doing the podcast while I'm baking.
Yeah.
For that to count.
We'll figure something out later.
Let's see. There's tart shells, sweet custard filling, and then yeah. All right. So they mention at the end of that issue, by the way, that they were making the custard cakes as the
like
prize for the race,
Jedi race,
which is coming up in the very next issue that we're about to talk about. And they're like, we made enough of them that we can just eat some of them now.
Yeah. Maybe that's why they made like more than 2, so that's why Engel's just breaking eggs the entire time.
They're like, we got to make enough to just, because as they're telling the story, more and more people are coming into the kitchen just to hear the story. Which one of the ongoing jokes is they keep stopping to talk about making the custard cakes, and everybody else is like,
halfway point, everyone's like, no, go back to the story. We don't give a fuck.
And then they get to the part where they're like, all right, we got to get the cakes out of the oven, and they're like, just finish the story. And so so I like it, and because we get that levity, we needed this levity.
Like, oh, thank God! Before we go back to the fucking gloom and doom that is.
So we're back to the main issue, which is the Great Jedi Rumble Race, which is still a bit of levity, but we're also getting some Sabata planning her shenanigans in that issue. So Lula's having visions. And she's concerned.
We were talking about this earlier. Lula is having issues with attachment at the moment, right?
Specifically with Zine, yes.
Yes. The other thing that I thought Lula was sort of dealing with is the weight of expectations.
That does seem to be a common theme in the High Republic, now doesn't it?
Yeah. Except no one is like...
No one's expecting what she thinks.
Her mind is. Yeah. She's like...
It's
a Jedi.
It's that gifted kid in school. Most of the time, nobody's expecting it. Now, the gifted kids who feel burnout as adults, that's generally because adults did expect too much from you.
Yeah.
But for the most part, there's the few selected gifted kids that the burnout is kind of on them because they're like, there's these expectations that people have of me because I'm so.
And I have to meet them.
Yeah, and it's like, no, you're a kid. You're still a kid. You don't have to meet those expectations.
But today is the day where none of that shit matters.
Yeah, because they're bringing back the Great Jedi Rumble Race, which was apparently a race that Cantum and Torben invented, and it's basically like, as kids we would get bored, and so we just do this race every once a year at least, and and the ongoing joke are, there are no rules, and literally everybody's asking, but what about this? There are no rules. What about that?
Rules.
There are no rules.
Okay. Am I allowed to use a car? There are no rules.
The only thing is, while it's not a rule, please do not blow up the space station.
Yep.
Because we do not want to go flinging out into space.
Yeah. Fucking that one like real evil Jedi kid. So thermal detonators are okay, right?
Meanwhile, on Corellia, yes, that place.
Yeah, welcome back to fucking.
We're meeting our buddy.
I was about to say Night City.
Yeah, we meet our buddy Respriller.
Uh,
Yeah, that guy. Where Crix, Respriller, and Sabata are making their plans.
like, all right, let's get down to plotting.
Yeah, so we basically get a lot of the backstory of what's going to happen in Midnight Horizon, where basically Crix and Sabata are working with Respriller to basically set up what they're going to do, assassinate the nobles and try to set up everything there. Meanwhile, Sabata is going behind Crix's back to basically replace Crix.
Yeah.
With basically her and Respriller are like, hey, we got to get rid of Crix because while he has a lot of the hatred and anger that you need to be a Nihil, he doesn't have the motivation to move upward. He
doesn't have the ambition.
There's no ambition, and therefore that's where he fails.
Yeah.
And so Respirer's like, yeah, I'm down. Let's do this. And so back at the race,
throw this kid under the bus.
Yeah, back at the race, everything kind of goes down where like it's just a free for all.
Yeah. I think Ram bangs his head on a door frame.
Yeah, there's some rough moments where it's like, ow, because Ram uses Ram and the two kids, the younglings that also start saying wizard because of Ram, they all take Astala Maru's astromech to fly because Ram was going to use his droid to fly, but somebody else already like ruined it by putting what was it? I'm looking right now. They replaced the fuel with bantha milk. And then his droid is like, yes, bantha milk tastes so good. And it's just like, so droids can taste, for one, and two...
This is another, why did you do this?
And two, bantha milk doesn't ruin it. Like, that's interesting.
What the fuck is the circuitry of this droid made out of?
That would be like if I, instead of a regular, like, cooling unit in a computer, I just put milk in there. I just took my coffee cup and just went...
It's so ridiculous.
Yeah. It's like, nope, not doing that. And so, yeah, so this race goes like hardcore, man. And then we see both references to a bunch of things that we've seen because we've seen both what happens in because we did Trail of Shadow and actually, it doesn't connect back to Edge of Balance, but we know that Edge of Balance is Volume 2 is happening in the background of this.
Yeah.
We just don't see the Edge of Balance characters in this like we do.
No.
Whereas Edge of Balance, we see the High Republic Adventures characters.
Lily and like the two younglings are there on...
And the two younglings are racing.
Yeah, but Lily is dealing with her own stuff.
Yeah, because Lily ends up talking to Stellan.
Yeah.
Oh, also, we see Jahan.
Yeah.
As well as her boss, man. I forget the Republic head of the base all of a sudden.
Yeah.
I forgot his name all of a sudden.
And there's also Force Detective Man. He's also there.
Yeah, because that's why I was saying it connects back to Trail of Shadows.
God, that's another character I'd like to see more of.
Yeah, I want to see more of him.
I want more noir in my Star Wars.
We don't see Gal, though, because I think Gal is missing at this point already, right?
Yeah. Either that...
Or about to be.
Yeah, they're about to be missing.
Yeah.
This might be during their nap.
But yeah, we got Velko as well. Rodor Keen, that's his name.
Yeah.
So we got Rodor and Velko in the background, which is a nice little throwback. And of course Astala, our boy Astala. Mm-hmm. Rest in peace.
God damn it.
Because that man was on the top half of the space station. And so...
We put a nuclear bomb in your space station. Why? Because to hell with you, Jedi. That's why.
So yeah, so once again...
Welcome to the Outer Rim.
Yeah,
You're not wanted.
Like we were saying, though, Sabata's plan is basically get the Jedi to kill
I
to
need
kill
the Jedi
Crix.
to kill this teenager because he's being a real dickhead about everything.
Yeah, so we're basically going to reveal where
I'm fine with that, but he's not a motivated jerk.
Yeah, so the plan is basically reveal the base of where he's hiding
Yep.
and get him caught.
Yeah. I do love that she is also at the end of this. Does anything else happen in between those two?
The only other thing
I
is
don't think so. Oh, Torben Buck
Torben wins because
winning the race because he's like,
he cut to the end and he was like, "Oh yeah, I was cheering you on, but it was so I could win, and I was cheering you on for second place."
like they all fall for. They're like, I thought you. He like force pushes them at the end, and I'm like, and I think I had the same reaction as one of the characters where they go, "Damn, I can't believe I fell for that."
Yeah, Zine says that. Yeah, and it's just like, and then Cantum's like, he did say there were no rules. And then of course, Torben's like eating them things, and he's like, "Good thing I made this treat, and it's exactly the way I like it." Because he says specifically, "Good thing Buckets used extra butter for the first place treats." It's like, Mister.
Son of a bitch.
But it's more to love about Torben.
Oh,
Once again, rest in peace.
Rest in peace, Torben.
Because Trail of Shadows.
You did your best. And you stripped naked and decided I'm gonna go fucking fight the Nameless in the nude with a lightsaber.
With just my underwear. Not even underwear. It was more like a jock strap.
Yeah. He's like, I'm gonna go try to fuck up the Nameless. You guys get the hell out of here.
But yeah.
And
so, yeah, that's basically it. Because Resprower and Sabata are like, good thing we're working together.
Yep.
And so, now
we're gonna betray each other eventually over something.
So yeah. So 2 more issues now.
Yeah.
So we're back to kind of the real serious stuff because we're hitting that finale, and we get some flashbacks of Lula when she was being trained by Cantum, and it's basically more of that. Hey, you got to understand the importance of detachment, and it's once again, it's not a matter of you can't care for people.
But
you have to balance it, like any other emotion. And of course, Cantum's like, you taught me the importance of this lesson.
Yeah, you taught me the most important lesson that I can learn. And she's like doing a front flip with a lightsaber.
He's like, no. Although that's...
And Yoda's like, the front flip is nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah. Like, they're both Yoda and Cantum are like, I mean, that is a good lesson, but...
That's not the one we're talking about.
Which, of course, hints back to what we of course now know already because of Midnight Horizon, because we get Cantum's backstory in that, and how they met Lula, and how that changed their life. And so we're getting narration from both Lula and Zine about this, like, having to deal with their emotions. And and we're getting more connections to Midnight Horizon because we have the message from what's his name, the member of Crash's team who died.
Ooh.
You know who I'm talking about, though.
I know who you're talking about. More because I remember how fucking hard they were like, this man is dead.
Yeah. I got this.
He was the one with the dogs.
Yeah, because he had the dogs from Solo. Because he was that same species that can't go out into the light. Hold on, I'm pulling it up. Pribolt.
Yeah.
Which Pribolt didn't die because I think they come back because I think they're alive in Solo. I think is what I remember. Yeah. Oh no, they did die. Okay. There is somebody that's like in this that's also alive in Solo though.
No, it's the one that run Mother.
Oh yeah, they mentioned her, but I think there's like another like member of like
No, it's the same
it's
one.
just it's just
she's younger.
it's just her. Okay.
Yeah.
I think they mentioned some other Grindyloids that are like part of besides Lady Proxima.
No, Proxima is in that one.
Yeah,
there are other Grindyloids.
Yeah, I thought there were other Grindyloids that were in Solo as well.
They're not in Solo, but they are mentioned. And it's mentioned that Proxima's young, but she's got that drive.
Isn't Malak alive during?
I don't think so.
Hold on.
I do remember.
No, he's not. Okay.
That.
But yeah, Proxima. Yeah.
The gang that Proxima will become the leader of showing up and being like, "Hey, you have like 1 week to find out who killed fucking Prybol.
The White Moss.
We're gonna fuck you up."
Yeah, the White Moss.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that
that was terrifying. They're like, if you can't find the guy who did this, we'll just kill you instead.
We're gonna start a gang war out in the streets.
Yep.
So Prybolt's message comes through, and they're like, okay, we need to start. Cantum Psi is gonna go down to Corellia, and
they'll take Ram with them.
Yeah, I'll take Ram. They'll take Ram with them, and they'll meet up with Reith and Comac, and they'll do the events of Midnight Horizon. Meanwhile, Torben and Lula will be in charge of the mission to find Crix.
Mm-hmm.
And initially, Zine is like, "Well, I also care." Like they're both fighting their care, like how much they love each other. And
should I go and tell them?
And
I should tell them.
And Zine is like, you know what, though? I probably should give her space. So I'm going to go ahead and volunteer to go to Corellia, which does not happen, by the way, immediately, because one of the Jedi Padawans who's out on patrol
is like, hey, we got a problem.
Yeah, there's some Nihil. Padawan Bibbs runs into Sabata's ship, and Sabata leads them to Crix's base on purpose, but
Padawan Bibbs is like kind of just...
He's kind of grooving around, sitting in his ship like, man, I wonder when they're going to show up. In the meantime, I'm just going to come up with stupid words that rhyme.
Yeah, he's like trying to figure out different rhymes and such because he's bored. And it's like...
Which is fair. That's something that's something I could remember kind of doing as a kid, is just coming up with random words.
Well, no one's here. I have like 20 minutes to kill,
and also being like, oh, that word doesn't exist. Why would that? But so I guess it doesn't count for my rhymes.
All right, I gotta scratch that one off the board.
And then Sabata shows up and is like, oh, great, Nihil ship.
Yep, there we go.
And so calls in, which then causes everybody to go, okay, so the team that was going to go with Cantum is now cut down to just Cantum and Ram.
Yeah.
And everybody else is on, let's capture Crix.
Yep.
And so, even Obertuk is with them, because remember, Obertuk is Farzala's master, and the one that falls asleep and then murked by Markion later. Rest in peace, Obertuk. Damn it. Because remember, he gets murked in the eye.
Yeah.
The Eye of the Storm comics.
He's like, fucking Markion, like, torturing and killing Jedi, my favorite pastime.
And this one's even better, because I'm going to tell him my backstory and then kill him.
Yep.
I get to monologue.
With no repercussions.
For once, the monologuer wins.
How do you know if someone's the villain in a movie? How fucking long have they been monologuing? About 3 minutes? They're probably the villain.
Yeah. And so Obertuk and one of the other masters is like, hey, we've got the Padawans, though, like the younglings, though, so we're going to kind of stay back, but we're here if you need us. We don't want to, like, bring our younglings into war.
We're not going to go and put the kindergartners in a dogfight. Let's not do that.
Okay, and here's where Crix is in, like, the full get up, and it's... Honestly, Crix looks badass in it. It's one of the few times where he doesn't look like he a wimpy bitch.
Yeah, he looks like he's gonna go and join the cast of fucking Mad Max.
Yeah. Like, it's like Crix is usually a bitch.
Let's be real.
Let's be real. He's a bitch. But in that get up, I could see him being frightening. He could almost get away with being threatening.
Yeah.
But he's a bitch, so it's not gonna.
If we didn't know it was Crix, we might actually be concerned. But we know it's Crix.
We've discussed this before, but we don't apologize for how we treat Crix.
No. At first, I kind of understood it. And I'm like, after a while, I'm like, okay, now you've done it. You've betrayed your old man. I'm not about that.
Yeah, like
that was my turning point for Crix. I'm like, okay, I get that you're upset that fucking Zine never told you.
But now you've got some,
but now you, that's being a dick, and then there's actively being malicious.
And joining a terrorist organization. He's like, I'm gonna be a terrorist, Mom. Oh, fuck. That's not where you're supposed to. No,
that's not what you were supposed to do.
It's like, but my elder Tromac was part of the same terrorist group.
It's not.
But that doesn't mean you should be. Also, Elder Tromac was kind of starting to back out of it because he started to realize, yeah, this might be bad.
Not good. After the Battle of Jeddah, fuck this, I'm leaving.
So,
because Tromac is still a kid.
Yeah, Tromac is a child, which is part of why he believes in the whole Nihil stuff, because from the beginning he's been raised into it.
Except he's very much fucked off with.
Yeah.
He's not actively.
He still follows a lot of the Path's teachings, though. Yeah,
but unlike the Nihil, he hasn't gone to be a fanatic with it.
He just
like Jedi.
But he doesn't go steal artifacts or anything. Yeah. He's just like, we'll leave you guys alone. Just don't bother us. Yeah. Also, we will kick out anybody who's force sensitive in our group.
He's like, that's it. Just don't use the Force and leave us alone.
Yep. So of course this big battle happens.
As opposed to the Nihil, who are actively fucking up the galaxy because they think it's a good idea.
So they find out his base is on Dol Harhide.
Yep.
We get this big battle where Crix is like, "Hey, where's Sabata? Sabata's supposed to be backing us up," and they're like, "Sabata left after she got back from her patrol. She told us that you would know where she is." God damn it! And that's when Crix is like, "She betrayed us."
He's like, that fucking sellout.
And so he gets on the main guns of the anti-aircraft turrets.
I guess I have to do this now.
And so he shoots he knows it's Zine, and he's like, I'm gonna shoot you down just like I did that one time, except the first time was accident. This time I know it's you.
And I'm gonna do it on purpose again.
This time to actually try to kill you.
Yeah.
And so
Zine's like, okay.
Zine goes down to kind of sacrifice herself to avoid Lula getting hit.
Yeah.
And so Zine crashes into Crix's little gun turret, causing Crix and Zine to go down together.
Mm-hmm.
And Lula lands her ship as well as Farzala and Court.
Yeah.
And Crix is on the run with a gun
I better
again.
Run away.
Crix just knows how to run away. That's kind of his gimmick. With a gun, usually. Usually he has a really big gun that's bigger than him as he's running away.
I think he'd get away faster if he ditched the gun.
And so, so Crix versus three Jedi and another Force user are on his butt.
Let me think about my odds. They're bad. I'm leaving.
I'm going to go into my safe room, which is no longer safe because Sabata has armed it with...
Sabata's message is, I've rigged your safe room to explode if a single blaster shot goes off, so you can either die like a real Nihil or get caught by the Jedi.
Yeah. Because basically she filled it with large Rhydonium fuel canisters, and she's like, the liquid form is very, very explosive. And it's even worse because I've basically she's made it to where it's also a vapor.
Yeah.
So it's it's in the air. So, haha, fuck you.
Yeah.
So you die one way or the other.
I'm trying.
And so
Is it as well if a lightsaber ignites or no? It
uh
should be in that.
plasma blade, so yes, the lightsaber.
Yeah.
So if a lightsaber ignites
It's
as well.
gonna be really funny in about 2 minutes
Yeah.
where none of that shit happens.
Well, that's because I don't because they never really enter the room, and I think they managed to air it out by pulling him out of the room. Because the way I viewed it is she pulled him out of the room away from the. Because
It's not very. It wasn't very clear to me.
So the thing is, there are two doors.
Yeah.
And Lula and Farzola took one door. Zine and Court took the other door. They can't see each other.
Okay.
Because there's
so
like.
they have to.
And basically, they're like, okay,
Use
if we
force
open one
sync.
door, then we're in trouble. But if we open both doors, then we could surround them.
Okay.
The thing is, we got to sync up.
Because if we do this wrong,
Somebody's gonna die because Lula starts. I think Lula senses what's behind there,
yeah.
so
She's
she
like, wait, nope. Be very careful. Don't just.
can't go in guns blasting
Yeah.
or laser slashing either.
Yep.
And so they start to open back up to each other because they haven't been able to feel each other lately because
Yeah.
they've both been just
They're like,
so in deep with their feelings that it's blocked them.
Yeah.
And so they're realizing, okay, I'm thinking about this too much.
Yeah.
I need to just take a deep breath, relax, and know that things will work out themselves out. For now, I need to connect in the Force with my friend. And so they manage to do that, and they open the door together at the same time. And I think it does air out, because I think that's what that is. But on top of that, she pulls him out of the room before he takes his shot, because right there is him being pulled out of the room.
Okay. Because I was like, man, you guys are fucking lucky.
Yeah, so she pulls him out of the room before he takes his shot. And so, and then when he does take the shot, she manages to make it to where it's not in the room, I think. She manages to, like... So,
Even though they...
yeah.
On paper, these kids should all be dead.
But we're going to go with it because it's science.
Yeah.
We're not taking this too seriously. We are opening for...
God forbid you smoke a cigarette in that room.
God, you're making me want to go on a rant about Andor.
Don't worry. We'll talk about it later.
Oh, did you hear about
No.
the... Oh, you didn't hear about bricks and screws?
No.
Oh.
Well-
Okay, we'll talk about it in a second.
Okay.
But we are open to... Hey, this is a science fantasy. We are
I'm
not...
willing to let this one slide because there's fucking magic involved.
Yeah, like... It's Star Wars. If we take this too seriously, then we end up
In this one instance, I'm okay with it.
If we take things too seriously, then it becomes like, how are we going to enjoy this?
Because let's be real. As nice as the High Republic is, I don't think they're not going to kill teenagers.
Especially since the High Republic Adventures is kind of the kids
like,
the
kids
kids comic. Like, it's not, but it is.
Yeah. This is the teenage one.
Yeah. Like, I would say this is older kids to teenagers.
Like when you're 13 to like 16.
And maybe even 12 or 11 you could read this.
Whereas
the mainline comic is definitely teenagers to adults.
yeah. And then the
And then of course we got children's books, young adult novels, and then the
would have more car crashes than a fucking Fast and Furious movie.
and so but yeah, so they managed to capture Crix. Success.
Yeah.
Mission complete. And so now they bring him back so they can basically question him, which is where we connect once again to Midnight Horizon, because but on their way to bring him back,
Tormund's like, hey.
By the way, Canton told me that if they didn't make it back right away, that depending on how this mission went, he wanted that if you were okay with it, I'm to knight you. And Lula's thinking things over because Lula's still like, I love Zine. How does that connect to me being a Jedi? Does that mean, do I really want to be a Jedi? Because it's what I've wanted my whole life since learning what Jedi are. But is it what I really want at the end of the day? And so she tells Torvin, I don't know if I can accept yet.
Yeah.
Let me have time to think about it.
Give me a day or two.
And so on the Starhopper, they bring Crix to be interrogated. Meanwhile, we meet the new class of younglings that are basically going to replace our cast as, it's our cast is graduating essentially, and so now we got the new kids on the block, and we get a fellow Axolian. Yeah, new baby Axolian. And so, named Zint. And so, we got Court and Zint. And so, they become buddies immediately. They get, oh, it's so cute.
You're
Killing me with cuteness.
but older.
And without mask.
Yeah.
And so,
And Crix is like, I fucking hate it here.
Crix is like,
I can't believe Sabata would.
yeah, he's like, I'm gonna get Sabata back. All I gotta do is not say a thing, and as long as everything goes to plan, the Eye will know that I did my job, and I'll be right back where I should be.
Yep.
That's not how things are gonna go.
No.
The greatest interrogation ever, which unfortunately this time we don't get to see.
Yeah.
This time we are viewing things from Lula's perspective. Because we already saw Zine's perspective in Midnight Horizon, where she lies to Crix and is like, I'm reading your mind! Get out of my brain!
I'll never tell you the secret base's plan is on section 39D.
Yeah. Meanwhile,
Oh, wait, shit.
Meanwhile, Farzala, Court, and Zint are like hanging out because Farzala's like, hey, you found a new buddy!
Yeah.
Let's do this!
I think they're playing.
They're like playing like keep up, essentially.
Yeah.
They're like all meditating together, keeping this little orb up.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but yeah, Lula is watching the interrogation, but is too busy thinking about like her and Zine's connections.
Just having an internal dialogue with herself.
Yeah, it's basically remember all these things that happened throughout the comic
Yeah.
and how close Zine and Lula have gotten throughout the entire series.
Mhm.
And that both of them have feelings for each other that they just won't tell each other.
Yeah. And I was like, alright. I'm gonna have to tell her. I should probably do that the next time I have the chance.
But yeah, so basically, so part of the lie that Zine is telling Crix is like, oh yeah, Sabata has been feeding us information, and we already know about about what's going on. And Crix is like, no, she's not. She didn't tell you about Gus Tollin. Oh fuck.
Thanks.
And this is when Crix does the most annoying shit that would get me to punch the fuck out of him. I don't care that he's still technically a child. In the Star Wars universe, being a child is kind of different than in the real world. Like, we've had this discussion about drinking at 16, and, like, there's the idea that you can be a ruler of a planet at 14. Yeah. Like, I think being a child is, like...
I think you stop being a child once you get to 12 in Star Wars.
Yeah. And so, like, there's this thing that's, like, it's a little different. And so, yeah, I would totally punch Crix for what he does.
Bam. He doesn't even get to finish the sentence.
Yeah, so Crix tries to pull the most manipulative shit ever.
Exactly.
He says, okay, so let's start with Zine. I'm so glad I found people who love me for who I am and not for some version of myself that had to be lesser to make them comfortable. Because basically she's talking about the fact that Crix hates her because she's accepted who she is. Mm. It's basically the story of somebody who's accepted who they are and has been willing to open up and finally... It's kind of a story about coming out of the closet to be... I mean, realistically, that's kind of the story that this is. And Crix is the person who can't accept them for who they are and instead has the idealistic version of them and is like, that's the person. And so he says... So he's about to say, I always love... And she cuts him off saying, keep it, and slams the door on him, essentially.
Yeah.
Which is good. You go. Because he doesn't love you.
No.
He's being manipulative when he says that. He loves an idealized version of you that he's put in his head, and that irks me. And this is the level where, like I already didn't feel sorry for Crix. But when he started to do this manipulative shit right here, that's when I was like, nope, I will never forgive you. You are done, Crix. I hope that Markion finds you and things do not end well. I hope you get pan-aided.
You fucked up the last time.
I hope you get pan-aided.
Markion will fucking do it.
Well, yeah, because Markion does not suffer fools.
Yeah. He also willingly sacrifices his, like, people all the time.
Yeah. Even if they were successful.
Yeah.
But if you're not successful, he's definitely throwing you out the airlock.
Yeah. That's what, like, I think is gonna fucking bite Markion in the ass.
Well, it's also
He's gonna run out of people.
it's the Everini way though of not trusting people.
Yeah.
It's that generational trauma that the Everini have. They kind of have this generational trauma of we can't trust each other, and we definitely can't trust outsiders. Because of all these things of us betraying each other way back when that we learned about in the I comic.
Like, even, like, at the end of the audio drama, right?
Yeah.
They bring it up. Like, Lorna points this out, and Wetbub and Markion, they're like, are talking to each other, and they're like, you don't have any goddamn ships, do you? You don't have any pilots. You're running out of people. You're essentially out. You have, what, 300 people at best?
Yeah.
And, like, I'm gonna go with maybe 70 at worst.
Yeah. And, like, the only other fleet ship that you have is dinky compared to what I just brought you.
Yeah.
So it's just like, yeah, Markion's running out of forces. He's tossing them out as soon as he gets them for the most part. And that's a larger discussion that we can bring back once Phase 3 starts. Because once Phase 3 hits the ground running, we're going to be back into this part of the High Republic era.
That was just something that I noticed, like, throughout all the stories. I'm like, one, Markion. Oh, also that it was me, Republic. I'm the one who's been making your fucking...
That's his Walter White speech, though. That's his I'm the one who knocks speech.
Yeah, I'm like...
And I think it's deserved. I think
it's a great speech. However, I'm like, oh, see, you didn't say, like, the storm or, like, any of the regular rhetoric. You went, no, it's me, Markion Ro, the Eye of the Nihil, the leader. I planned this. I did all of this.
Well, and that's where his ego's catching up with him.
That's gonna bite you in the ass, man.
Yeah. So, yeah. So once again, they now have this information, and Zine immediately volunteers and says, "I have to go tell everybody. Like, I have to tell Cantum, Comac, and Ram and Reeth what's going on because otherwise they are fucked." And so we get this last moment of kind of intimacy between Lula and Zine, where they don't quite say what they want to.
Yeah.
They say something close enough though.
Yeah.
And they both say, "I need you."
Mm-hmm.
They both immediately regret that and are like, I should have said love.
Fuck. It's not the right word.
Like,
I can't say the L word yet.
But like they're both like, it's good that we said this at least because it implies we both have the same understanding of our relationship.
Yeah.
Because they both understand what they mean when they say "I need you." They're saying "I love you" without saying it, and so they're both like, "Okay, I understand what you're saying." So this is where Lula kind of realizes, "Hey, you know what? I don't want to graduate tonight yet." Because we go back to the boys, where their masters are like, "All right." Their masters, along with Torben, are like, "All right, time for you guys to get into your fancy night, get into the ceremonial garb,
fucking graduation robes."
Yeah, get into the ceremonial robes. It's time for graduation, boys. And they ask Lula if she's ready, and Lula's like,
"No,
nah,
not yet.
But I'm excited for you because you guys are my best friends. Healthy relationships once again."
Yeah.
It's just such a healthy friendship.
Yeah.
She's like, "I don't need this. You guys deserve it. I'm there for you." And so, and then and then we get to see their knighting ceremony.
Yeah.
And so, and that's the end of it. Of course, now we know that, so we don't know what happens to Lula after this because we know she disappears.
Yeah.
And that's where Zine's left off in Midnight Horizon is looking for Lula because, once again, they're both regretting that they didn't say "I love you."
Yep.
Because everything falls apart because of Starlight Beacon falling apart, which is in the background of them having their graduation ceremony. It's not falling apart yet, but it's about to.
It will.
Like 2 minutes.
We kept the camera rolling for another 5 minutes.
Yeah. It's basically like when you watch Rogue One and A New Hope back to back. Like you would remove the credits and you could just watch like immediately. Remove the credits, remove the opening crawl on A New Hope. One movie. It's basically that situation with this. It's like you could remove the end on this comic, get rid of the opening parts of Fallen Star, cut to the everything happening, and you're like, oh yeah, it's right there.
Yep.
But yeah. So that's it of Phase 1. We are done with Phase 1. I looked at our schedule. There's no more Phase 1 content. We are out of the Phase 1. So, long journey.
Hey, Caleb.
Yeah?
Fuck you for the timeline.
Don't worry, I've got it written down.
You ass.
I've got it written down, so that way, when we do the episode at the end of the season, because when we finish the season, we're going to do an episode where you have to figure out the timeline.
Mm-hmm.
I've already come up with a great name for the episode. And
when the fuck did this happen?
No, it's they're all going to be references to Star Wars movies.
All right.
But yeah, so every season we're going to do a timeline so that way we can see where we are. Right now I don't know when the season exactly is going to end, but I think it's going to be May of next year at this rate.
Oh boy. Have you added stuff to it?
I've had to clean. Well, I'm not done fixing it right now because there's stuff that's coming out that I'm like, oh, I should add that.
So yes.
Like I've had to rearrange some stuff, but I've also had to add some stuff. So like, I've had to add, for example, Tales from the Rancor Pit, Jedi Battle Scars. All of the new Phase 2 High Republic stuff. Bad Batch Season 2 starts in January. So, yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I've had to add.
Okay.
But yeah, so next week.
Yeah.
Oh, final thoughts, by the way, on High Republic Adventures Volume 3. I give it a 9, maybe 8.5.
I'm gonna give it an 8.
I think it ends well, but of course it's very much a situation of it feels rushed if you've never read the rest of the material that's alongside of it.
Yeah.
But if you've read the other material like we did, then it's just this is a puzzle piece to the larger picture. And I think it does a really good job of giving us that missing piece.
This is one of the few times I'm glad that we aren't quite a big thing yet. Because if we were, I think that Sav is not one of my preferred characters.
No, I think that's fine. Everybody has their favorite characters. I think if anybody gives you shit for that, that's their own issue to deal with. Like, I like Sav a lot. She's not my favorite character, but I like her a lot.
Yeah.
You just don't feel that same way, and that's perfectly fair. You have your favorite characters in the High Republic. We've talked about them. Like, I mean, everybody has their taste of favorite characters.
Buryaga, Lily, Porter Engel, Detective Jedi.
Yeah, that's Aram? Hold on.
The planet?
No, sorry. I know it begins with an E, his name. Emmerich.
Yeah.
I was word souping my way to the right word. But I made it.
Torben. There's a lot of
there's a lot of characters
you
like.
Jedi I like and I respect. Unfortunately,
most of them are dead.
dead.
But you like, but once again, so that's why I'm like, if you like a character, that's fine. It's fine to not like a character too.
Sav is a respect, not a like.
Yeah, and it's not a dislike either. It's just it's a neutral. Now, Crix is a dislike, and that's a I like how well he's written for me to dislike him. So that's the compliment you're getting, DJO, regarding Crix, is that I like to dislike him because you've written him so well that he is dislikable to this degree. That's my opinion, anyways, regarding Crix.
Like,
because you have to write a character that well to get that much emotional, like I don't like him out of it.
I think it might just be like how we were kind of like raised a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
Where I don't hate Crix.
Well, I don't hate him. I don't hate him. I dislike him.
Yeah.
Hate, especially since he's a fictional character.
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
You dislike him. I'm indifferent to him.
I think I dislike him because he represents a lot of real world type of things that I do hate.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, you're a fictional character that's representing these things, so therefore I don't hate you. I just dislike you. Because you're not going to do anything. You're a fictional character. I don't like how you're treating the characters I do like.
Yeah.
But yeah. So next week, Andor.
Oh, yeah. Oh, shit.
Because Andor wrapped up, buddy.
Oh, yeah, it did.
You just got to watch 2 more episodes, too, because we've been slowly having you watch along the way.
This is one where I've been, not weekly, almost weekly watching.
We've been doing it per arc. When an arc finishes, we've had you watch the arc. And so...
I am glad. Like, we got done with the prison arc.
Hey, Seth, I can't swim.
Oh, well, that's unfortunate for you, pal. Ignore the fact that
God,
that
it's
fucking
so
fall
sad.
should have killed you.
God, it's so sad, though. He can't swim.
Yeah.
Oh. I'm going to bring it up now, actually. So, there's a certain well-known Star Wars YouTuber who has had some not good opinions over the last few years. Like, and is friends with Geeks and Gamers.
Okay.
The group that we try to make sure we don't affiliate whenever we talk about the game shop here, Gamers and Geeks. That we're like, no, the game shop, not this group of assholes. So he decided for the finale. So for the finale, he's like, I thought the acting and the writing was well done, but bricks and screws are too real and shouldn't be in Star Wars. And that was his take, and he was like, and that's why Andor is bad.
What? Like, bricks is in the things you need
to yes, like literal bricks and screws. Let me find it. I can find the exact quote if I need to.
What? It's
why I was like, that's when earlier I was like, oh, we don't care about, we're not as, worried about the whole, realism, like in Star Wars. Like, we're not worried. Are they no longer on Twitter? Can't find the exact quote. I know it's here somewhere. Well, this isn't news. This is just like something in the community that we can talk about.
I'm
because
like, this is not bricks and screws. I'm like, okay. Ignore all the fucking other things.
Yeah. I'm trying to find... Oh. And of course, our good friend, Sawyerism. Sawyer, she
Fast and light travel isn't real either, but none of us are complaining about that.
She decided to warn this content creator about other things that are canon in Star Wars that are from the real world. Knit sweaters. Let's see. Books, fireworks, pizza, spray paint, water, wheels, flashlight and screwdriver, fork, ducks. Somebody brought up ducks are canon.
Oh yeah, they are. Because they're in the movies, aren't they?
Yeah. So ducks. And so, yeah.
I feel like I'm missing context as to why.
So the reason, at least for Sawyer calling them out, is because the Star Wars community used to be a little bit closer to him. In terms of the TikTok people, because a lot of them, I was never part of the Discord server for this person, but a lot of them were. A lot of them left, and meanwhile, Sawyer stayed friends. This is more her story to tell, so I'm kind of TLDRing it.
That's not. I mean, why are bricks and screws?
In Andor?
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Like, why is that an issue?
Oh, why is it an issue? It's not. It's not, and that's the joke. Everybody's pulling on him. It's like, why'd you make it an issue? It's because he wants to just find something to complain about. Because he did this. This is the same guy who, when Obi-Wan was coming out, was upset that we didn't get to see more of the Padawan massacre in the Jedi Temple. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. Same person. This is also the same person who Oh, I think this is his. I don't know if this is his or if this is somebody spoofing him. Oh yeah, this is somebody spoofing him. But one of his other quote, like one of the things for Andor was him and his buddy who do their podcast. They're like live streams, I guess, not really a podcast. They're live streams together. They're like, man, Andor sucks, but you know what would be great? A General Grievous show in the same style as Andor.
It doesn't really work.
I mean, honestly, they would probably hate it if they did actually make a Grievous show because, like, interestingly, they would probably call a Grievous show woke because the story would be about how General Grievous got screwed over by the Republic and capitalism, and that's why he joined the Separatists because that's his Legends backstory, anyways. So if they were to recreate that for canon, they would probably hate it, ironically enough, even though they asked for it. Especially since they said in the vein of an Andor show, which is...
Well, Andor is supposed to be a political thriller.
Yeah.
Let's call it what it is.
Yeah, it's a political thriller, and therefore it's going to have some real-world politics mixed in, and there's a lot of themes there.
Hate that.
I mean, Star Wars has always had real-world politics. Yeah. I mean, it's the conversation of when people say, why are there politics in Star Wars? There have always been, buddy. Literally, the original trilogy was about, fascism and imperialism and how it's bad. And also, America is bad for doing the imperialism as well. Because Return of the Jedi is Vietnam. It's
like
the Empire is America, and George has said that himself. What am I going to tell you, buddy?
So here's the thing, right?
Yeah.
I think, and this is just on a global scale, I'm going to say something political here.
Go for it.
So, I think the reason why America gets, like, so much stuff for its, like, mistakes over the years as, like, a country is because we're, in terms of, like, countries and such, we are pretty young.
That's definitely one of the reasons.
People haven't had time to forget.
Yeah. I think also on top of that...
And America holds itself accountable.
Sometimes. I think that's also why we get so much shit for it, though, is America doesn't always hold itself accountable, because look at how we deal with slavery. We kind of just ignore that we did that. We're just like, we know we did it, but it's in the past. And it's like, but we need to talk about how that's a foundational issue that America has had. But nobody wants to I know we got really heavy here, but that's realistically the issue. And so
I'm not gonna say that was a dumbass thought I just had.
no, you're fine.
That one.
But like that's realistically part of the issue of why the world views us as dumb is we don't acknowledge our mistakes enough. Instead, we are like, yeah, we made the mistake, but we're going to ignore that it's repeating itself now. And it's like, that's not how that's supposed to work. If we're trying to move on, we need to acknowledge that, hey, there's some issues that we haven't resolved still. But, yeah. But, of course, Star Wars has always been about the politics of the today. Yeah. It's always been relevant to what's going on today, because when Return of the Jedi came out, Vietnam was still relevant. I mean, it was over because 83 was Return of the Jedi. Hold on. Yeah, 83 was Return of the Jedi, so it was over, but there were still a lot of people who were like, hey, we made a mistake by even being involved in that.
Yeah, that one, not our fight.
Yeah, like, nobody attacked us. We just kind of were like...
This is one of those... Why did we get involved here?
Because America.
No, the real answer is because of the falling blocks of communism theory, even though that's not going to work.
Yeah, and also
mostly from a cultural standpoint.
Yeah, and also on top of that, the whole... Yeah, well, yeah, because America had to make sure that everybody is a capitalist society that's democracy around the world, and it's like, no, that works for us, kinda, but it's not for everybody.
Yeah.
There's a reason many countries have different systems. But yeah. Not everybody can fall under the same system.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyways. We'll get a chance to talk political for sure. Yeah. Let me double check, because we should have a guest next week. Let me double check. I was asking them, actually, if they were still in. Okay, they said they should be able to, so I'll go ahead and announce it. So, for the Andor episode, we are getting T Blue Pulsar 66 from TikTok and YouTube, and we're bringing him in. His name is Jordan. He's a great guy. We're bringing him to talk Andor. Couldn't get... I tried to get M, but M is so busy. But we got T Blue Pulsar as well. I was trying to get multiple guests for this one, honestly, because I feel like this is one where there's a lot of good opinions out there regarding Andor.
I like how, so far, a lot of what I've seen from Andor is Cassian being like, no, fuck off. I don't want to be part of your rebellion.
But also
I'll join you for, like, jobs and such, but right now,
let
me figure some shit out, okay?
Yeah. And we'll talk more in depth about it, because I have more thoughts regarding that specifically. So we'll save that for the episode for next week. But that'll be it for this week.
Yeah.
Thank you all for watching. Be sure, if you're watching on YouTube, which is youtube.com/Escape Reality Films, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. If you are watching on Twitch, which is twitch.tv/Escape Reality Films, be sure to give us a follow or a subscribe. Either way works. And then check out our Patreon, which is patreon.com/Escape Reality Films, where you get to watch YouTube content a week before it's uploaded to YouTube. Yeah. You get to check out like some of the comic I'm working on before it's released. A lot of good stuff there. And all that money goes back to stuff like this. It goes back to the books we read, all that good stuff. Eventually, hopefully, pays us to where we can do this full time.
Yeah.
Also want to thank Gamers and Geeks, which is our local gaming shop, where here in Mobile, they're right off of Moffett, so if you're ever in the Mobile, Alabama area, come check them out. They have tabletop games, board games, card games, whatever you can think of. There's an arcade in the back, which is using the free-to-play type arcade systems where you don't put coins in, but you do pay $10 at the front, get a little wristband that says, hey, I can play these games for the day.
Keep going.
And then inside Gamers and Geeks, we also have Engage Gaming, which is a sort of a console rental sort of thing where you can basically pay hourly to play on like PS4, Xbox, PC, and VR, which they have all the all the systems there. They provide the games as well. So if you don't have a console but you got some money, like a little bit of money, and you want to try out that new game everybody's talking about, there you go. That's a way to do it. And if you pay a monthly membership fee, the hourly rate is a little bit cheaper. Also want to thank Cult Movie Mobcast Network, who pay for the space here, and they basically provide it to us. So they pay Gamers and Geeks, who then let us use it. I'm part of a lot of their content. Right now they're on complete hiatus for all the shows. I produce, and I'm also a co-host. We got Cult Movie Cantina, where we talk about old movies, and we have a drink that's themed with it. We also do My Star Wars Life, where currently we've been talking about Andor. We're a good bit behind, but we do plan to come back pretty soon now that the show is done, to kind of fly through the rest of the episodes. And then there's also Tuesdays with Scotty, which is basically Scotty, the main guy who owns Mobcast Network. It's a show to basically just talk about whatever's on his mind, whatever topics seem interesting at the moment, and interview different people that are local that do different cool things. So, because we've had comic book artists, an independent comic book artist and writer who self-publishes on the show. We've had some independent filmmakers on the show that are local to the area. So, we do a little bit of. He does a little bit of everything on that. What else am I? Oh, I guess we can talk about this some more. We are also planning our own second podcast pretty soon. We've talked about it before. We are doing There Can Be Only One Podcast, which will be our Highlander podcast.
The irony is we have two podcasts.
So
we're lying to you.
Is that ironic or just lying?
I think we're lying. I think it's just lying.
Yeah, I think it's just straight up lying. But yeah, so that's going to be our Highlander podcast, where we're going to go through all things Highlander, and we're going to start with some books.
Yep.
And we're bringing our friend Ty onto the show.
Yes.
And so it will be me, Seth, and Ty as our hosts. And we're going to steal a little bit from Cult Movie Cantina. We're going to have drinks on this show.
Yeah.
Mainly because we made a drinking game.
Yep.
We don't know when the first episode will come out, but we know we're going to start filming soon.
Yes.
Because this one, There Can Be Only One Podcast will be filmed, unlike this one.
That one's a pre-recorded.
Yeah, that one's going to be taped. And so that's going to be fun. Just wanted to throw it out there so you guys can keep an eye out for it. I think that's it at the moment.
That's everything for now.
And then, of course, you're working on your secret project as well.
I should get back to working on that because I haven't.
Don't worry, I've been slacking on a project as well. But
I do it. What do you think of a?
I like what you've done so far. Yeah. Without giving anything away, I like it. So thank you all for watching, and we'll see you guys next week with Andor, along with T Blue Pulsar 66. And I've spoken.
All right, we'll see you around.
Finally feeling free and it feels so right. Oh, time to do the things I like. Gonna see a princess, everything's alright. Oh, no job but I answer to. Ain't a fixture in the palace zoo. No, and since the carbonite's off me, I'm living life now that I'm free. Yeah, told me get myself together. Now I got myself together. Now I made it through the weather. Better days are gonna get better. I'm so happy the carbonite is gone. I'm moving on. I'm so happy that it's over now. The pain is gone. Cover up my eyes. I'm jumping in my ride. I'm heading out tonight. I'm solo. I'm hot and solo. I'm hot and solo. I'm hot and solo. Solo. Picking up my blaster, putting it on my side. I'm jumping in my Falcon. side. I'm solo, I'm hot and solo, I'm hot and solo, I'm hot and solo, solo. I'm hot and solo, I'm hot and solo, solo. Now I'm feeling how I should join the alliance, it feels so good. Oh, stop feeling misunderstood. Back in the game, who knew I would? Oh, so fly time I spread my wings. Loving myself makes me wanna sing. No, oh yeah, 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 yeah. Told me get my act together, now I got my act together. Yeah, now I made it to the west up. Better days are gonna get better. I'm so happy, the common night is gone. I'm moving on, I'm so happy that it's over now. The pain is gone. Around my eyes, I'm jumping in my ride, I'm heading out tonight. I'm solo, I'm hot and solo, I'm hot and solo, I'm hot and solo, solo. Picking up my plans and putting it on my side. I'm jumping in my falcon, bookie at my side. I'm solo, I'm hot and solo, I'm hot and solo, I'm hot and solo, solo. Tonight, finally feeling free and it feels alright. Oh, time to do the things I like. Gonna see a princess, everything's alright. Oh, no job but I answer to. Ain't a fixture in the palace zoo. No, and since the carbon night's off me, I'm living life now that I'm free. Yeah, told me get myself together. Now I got myself together. Now I made it through the weather. Better days are gonna get better. I'm so happy, the common night is gone. I'm moving on, I'm so happy that it's over now. The pain is gone. Around my eyes, I'm jumping in my ride. I'm heading out tonight. I'm solo, I'm hot and solo, I'm hot and solo, I'm hot and solo, solo. Picking up my plaster, putting it on my side. I'm jumping in my falcon, bookie at my side. I'm solo, I'm hot and solo, I'm hot and solo, I'm hot and solo, solo. I'm hot and solo, I'm hot and solo, solo. Now I'm feeling how I should join the alliance, it feels so good. Oh, stop feeling misunderstood. Back in the game, who knew I would? Oh, so fly time I spread my wings. Loving myself makes me wanna sing. No, oh yeah, 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 yeah. Told me get my act together. Now I got my act together. Yeah, now I made it through the weather. Better days are gonna get better. I'm so happy, the common night is gone. I'm moving on, I'm so happy that it's over now. The pain is gone. Around my eyes, I'm jumping in my ride. I'm heading out tonight. I'm solo, I'm hot and solo, I'm hot and solo, I'm hot and solo, solo. Picking up my plans and putting it on my side. I'm jumping in my falcon, bookie at my side. I'm solo, I'm hot and solo, I'm hot and solo, I'm hot and solo, Yeah.